Hey, what's up, world? I want to share a really quick story about why I do what I do. So, some of you may or may not know I'm a sales consultant. I work with early stage companies and freelancers on building processes that scale. Now, you're probably like, oh man, he's another person that just sells stuff, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's true, but let me at least give you a little bit of color on why I'm doing this. So back in 2010, perhaps, it was the height of the recession. Some of you may or may not know. And if you don't, then I'm glad for you, because that was a really bad time. It was a very dark time in my life. And there was just nothing. Applying to jobs every day in, day out, back and forth. Nothing is happening. And it got to a point where I started to have to pay my student loans, and I didn't have any money. I didn't know a lot of people. I didn't know where I was going to get any money from. And it got pretty dark. And I got some advice that I should go out and start walking into bars and restaurants and ask if they have any work for me. Now, I didn't want to do this. I hated doing it. I was really nervous the first day I went out there, and I literally stood in front of the bar for probably an hour, just not wanting to go in, asking myself all the questions. Why me? Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to lower myself to ask for work? Why can't someone just give me a job? All that stupid stuff that an entitled 22-year-old would be thinking, 23-year-old, something like that. And you're dumb at that age. You're just really dumb. You don't know about the world yet. And then I would check my phone and see if I got any emails or if anyone had called me, and minute after minute, less and less is happening, and I just realized that no one was coming to save me. It kind of struck me in that moment. So I muscled up the energy, and I ran in there and I said really quickly, hey, do you have anybody that you can do any jobs? Do you need anyone to do any jobs? I do work stuff. Super nervous, had no pitch, didn't practice anything. And they're like, oh yeah, we might. Do you have a resume? And I dropped my resume, and then I broke out real fast. I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. You should do this, 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 and this better. And I was like, okay. And I went down the street, and I went to the next place. And it felt a little better, and I got a little tighter at it. And the next thing you know, by the end of the day, I went to 10 places. And I was like, all right, I'm done. I need a beer. This was stressful. So I pop off and have a beer. And then I say, hey, I'm going to do this every day this week until I have something. Did it for 4 or 5 days. And by the end of the day on Friday, I'd had 3 calls to come back for some jobs. And I'm like, oh, nice. I get to be a bar back. I get to be a janitor. I can't explain to you how happy I was to be that janitor, because now I had some cash. I could think, right? To me, the definition of privilege is not having to be worried about the next 5 minutes. That's what privilege is to me. So whatever your definition of it might be, mine is slightly different. I can actually think and take a seat and sit down for 5 minutes and not be scared about the outcome now. So I upgraded my life in that respect. So I got 3 callbacks. I decided I could take 3 jobs because I could make the schedules work. So I said, I'm going to be working 3 jobs. Restaurant work is not glamorous. It is a character building industry, and I have ultimate respect for anyone who works in the food service industry or in the hospitality industry, because y'all grind really, really hard. I've done it for years, and that's where I got my start. So anyway, I'm working at bars. I'm a janitor. I'm a bar back. I am the person that cleans up after everything and shuts the bar down. I know how everything works. I know where everything is, and I support my bartenders so that they can get cash, so they can tip me out. So anyway, one particular bar, I'd work there on Sundays. It's still out in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And they had a Cajun restaurant inside the bar. They had a Cajun restaurant. And they had, a lot of fried food, great shrimp stuff, sandwiches, po' boys, blah, blah, blah. And part of my job was to take out the trash. And because the weekend is a super busy time, they just keep the trash for Friday night and Saturday night and early Sunday. And then Sunday night, when I would come in around 8, I would then clear out 3 days worth of horrible weekend trash from the back. And it's an alleyway, like a really long alley with like 6 or 7 trash cans, and you gotta squeeze yourself in. And I'm pretty flacco, so like I can fit inside these places. So I go in there and I'm cleaning it out, and I got on my college sweatshirt which says Wake Forest, and which is ironic and funny. I'm cleaning up a dirty ass bar with my college sweatshirt for my college education, and I'm a janitor. But the world is funny. It will humble you whether you like it or not. So I'm taking out this trash, and then I get down to the last one. And as part of the policy in the bar, you're never supposed to throw away glass. You're supposed to recycle. So somebody didn't recycle that day in that last trash can, and I could not get the trash bag out. I just couldn't get it out, and I'm pulling as hard as I can. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna get this thing out. And I pull my pants up and I bend down, squat down really, really hard. And this last trash can was next to the spent fryer oil from the restaurant. It's a 54-gallon drum of spent fryer oil right next to this trash can. And I yank this thing as hard as I can and I get it out there. But someone had thrown away a handle of liquor into the trash can and it didn't recycle. So that's another lesson why I really support recycling, because that handle, 1.75 liters, caught the edge of the fryer oil barrel and it went over onto me and into the bar. And it spilled 54 gallons of spent fryer oil all over the bar. And I wish I could have seen my face, because I remember it was the most panicked I've ever been up to that point in my life. And I just had that heat that you get when you really, really mess up. You really just don't know what to do. And I looked around at this oil just spilling into this bar. I looked around and there's nobody there to help me. And I realized in that moment, I was like, oh, I just want to walk out of here and quit and I'll just be done with it. And then I remembered I didn't have anything else. I didn't have anything else I could go do. I didn't have anyone I could call. I didn't have any place to go. I had nothing. I had absolutely nothing there that I could go do at any other place. I was powerless. And I decided in that moment that I was gonna have something. I decided and I said to myself, you know what? I left my body in a way and I was like, yo, man, this is gonna be temporary. I knew it was, even though it sucked. Like, I can't explain how hard that day was for me, because I didn't know what to do, but I was like, you're gonna have something. You're gonna figure out a way. Like, there's gonna be a way. You're gonna own this and you're gonna make it into something. And for me, as someone who doesn't come from much, whose parents are immigrants to the United States, who had some great education but didn't necessarily have all the great opportunities that others may have had. And maybe it wasn't my time and I needed to build my character in that way, but I said, I'm gonna have something. And for me, if you remember the beginning of the story, I said I am a person who sells things and I teach people how to sell. And the reason I teach people how to sell is because of the agency that sales provides. So it's not so much that I want to just, I like money as much as the next person. Let's not get it wrong here. Let's not get it wrong here. I do like money as much as the next person. But money is a vehicle. I like sales because you can have absolutely nothing. And if you know how to sell yourself, your ideas, and how to help people and understand what their problems are, you can always find a way to get something. And that's the mindset that has enabled me to survive my entire life up to this point, to get past that crazy moment and to be able to be here in Mexico right now while some of you are stuck in an office. I decided that I was going to have something, no matter what it took. And I was gonna put in the effort and put in the work to do it. And I tell you that that was the moment for me that gave me the strength. Even though it was a horrible, horrible time and I had to stay there in this disgusting oil that I could still smell, and I still smell it because that bar still exists. It's on North 7th in Bedford. It's called the Charleston. And whenever I pass there, I just laugh, and like every once in a while, I'll even go in there for a drink just to remember and keep it very present in myself of that very hard time. Because when you have those moments that really call on you to build your character, where you have choices, you can't decide about anything else that's in front of you. It's like, this is the only thing I can deal with. When you have those moments, they're hard, but they're very honest. And not everybody can handle the truth. So I was confronted with something I didn't want to see and didn't want to deal with, and was very hard and hurtful and all around viscerally horrifying. But I decided to take ownership of that and said, you know what, here's where I am, this is what I have, this is my path, and I'm gonna make something out of this. This will not be the moment that breaks me. It felt like I was gonna break, it really did. It really felt like I was gonna break, but I said, you know what, I'm gonna own this and I'm gonna make this something. I'm gonna laugh about this later. And I'm not necessarily laughing yet, but again, being here in Mexico, instead of being stuck in an office, because I made the choices to be here, is proof positive that this stuff does work. If you told me at that day that I would be here, like 10 years later, 12 years later, that I'd be out here, I'm horrible at math because it's hot. The 2010, about 10 years later, that I'd be able to travel how I want, make pretty good money, and live the life that I want because of that day, I would have told you were lying to me. And I would have told myself that I was lying to myself. But sure enough, here I am. And again, this life is hard too. It has its challenges. New levels, new devils. But I'm way better off than I was, and I understand the agency that I gave to myself that day to take control of where I was and what I didn't like and do something about it. And that's what I want to share with anybody out here watching this today. Like, it was a dark moment, but I owned it and I moved forward. And that's also to say, those really dark and horrible moments don't last. And those really great, amazing moments also don't last. That's why it's important to remain even. Everything moves forward in a cycle. So you have to be virtuous and righteous with yourself to give yourself the chance to understand that things are going to change and things are going to keep rolling forward. And if you continue to take one step and put a foot in front of the other, and you're honest with yourself about it, you can accomplish whatever it is that you want. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Agency is key. Own where you are, and that's how you can change and move towards where you want to go. This is your boy Steven. Please hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. And if this is valuable to you, please share it with somebody. Peace out.